Good morning. Welcome to the next episode of Connect First. I'm Command Sergeant Major Shawn Carns, the host of Connect First. And again, thank you very much. And today we have a special guest, Master Sergeant Plumlee, Medal of Honor over at First Special Forces Group. And welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Please tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your story of the Medal of Honor, please.
I joined the Oklahoma National Guard as a junior in high school. Wasn't quite the adventure I was looking for. So as soon as I got out of high school, I went and enlisted in the Marine Corps as an infantryman. Did 4 years in the infantry, and volunteered and was selected to be a Force Reconnaissance Marine. And after that, I started getting itchy feet again, left the Marine Corps, and joined the Army as an 18 X-ray, which has led me to serve in First Special Forces Group the entirety of my career, and also put me in position to be awarded the Medal of Honor.
Oh man. Can you tell us a little bit about how you earned the Medal of Honor?
It was 2013. It was the first time we had won the war in Afghanistan. A lot of people don't remember that one. But we were, for sure we had won, and we were drawing down. And as we were drawing down, the Taliban, anytime they could kind of guess or divine that we were closing a base, they would love to come in and attack it, because whether they were successful or not, they could always claim credit for chasing us out of town. I was on a Polish FOB. We had a logistical hub there, and I was serving as a weapons sergeant for our company headquarters when the FOB was attacked. They initiated it with around a 4,000-pound truck bomb. I had 15 assaulters with suicide vests rush the breach, and me and a couple of my buddies got there first, and we had us a gunfight. We pulled into their school circle. I didn't know that they were Taliban when we arrived, but we figured it out.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting story, because I talk a lot, and a lot of the audience knows my definition of leadership as leadership is a relationship built on inspiration, trust, serving, and caring for others. And the story that you just told me, about that is obviously we developed some relationships, but your story right there emulates serving and caring for others, and being there for them and helping them. And and we're not thinking about it. We just do, right? Because that is part of our team, is helping them through any, adversity they might go through any challenges, through a firefight, right? We're there to help them out, and you emulate that.
Yeah, I think that's, I know that I came to the military for just an adventure. I wanted to do all the things in the commercials. I had never had a plan to be here, and it wasn't until I sent a batch of privates that I trained up. I ended up PCSing, and they went to war without me. And it deeply affected me. I really felt like I let them down by not sending them forward with the best leader in my eyes. The person they took was fine, and that's really what got me hooked on with service was being a professional NCO and doing the best job that I could, and being there for my guys. And as we were speaking, earlier, being hard on them, but also when things are coming apart, being approachable enough that when they were having problems, I was the person they came to talk about that. And I think that's the fine line of a good NCO, where they respect you and fear you, but you get the call before the chaplain does.
Oh man, no, agree 100% with you. And we were talking earlier about that is, I would get stuff done as a young NCO, a sergeant, a staff sergeant. The word I didn't understand was care. Like, I knew about standards and discipline, and people knew when I was coming, they'd probably get out of the way. When I was coming, they were like, hey, we don't mess with the Shawn Carns. But I didn't understand that caring piece. And, what you just said, especially about them soldiers going off, right? Because it's okay to have some pride, as long as you don't turn egotistical, right? It's okay to be prideful. But then, you being empathetic and being in their shoes, you're like, they're going somewhere where I should be there with them as their leader to help them through anything they might go through.
Yeah, it tore me up. And it was the Battle of Fallujah, Phantom Fury. They came back all shot up and dinged up, and even though I left the Marine Corps, I knew that I wasn't ever going to be able to leave the military until the war was over, because I just didn't feel comfortable with it.
Wow, that's awesome. Again, empathetic. You're
Yeah.
putting yourself in their shoes, right? And you're feeling their feelings. And that's something else I think we don't do great as leaders. It's okay to show feelings, because feelings is you being authentic, right? And being authentic is really part of being a leader, right? Just not speaking from here, but speaking from here and being authentic and being yourself, because I'm speaking from the heart and giving that feelings. And that opens them up. Like, oh, he really cares for me because he's speaking or she's speaking from the heart.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So that's very important to be able to do that. And then, doing stuff for others, right? You helping them out on the battlefield, but there's probably been a lot of other examples where you're helping them soldiers out. Whenever you're in a formation and someone is doing something wrong, guess what? You're there to make the correction and help them through that, right? To where, hey, I pick them up, dust them off a little bit, and point them in the right direction.
Yeah, I think, like you said, if it's not ego-driven, and I think once I built a relationship with everyone who's served with me or below me, that when I make a correction, they trust me that it's for everyone's betterment, not for my personal gratification that I can make you blouse your boots again.
Yeah, and that goes back to, they trust that I'm going to be there for them to pick them up, dust them off, point them in the right direction. But once you build that trust, that's whenever they also come to you with their problems.
And I don't know when it happened, but when I first came in, I was chasing my own wins. I wanted to go to the school and be honor grad, or I wanted to be on the deployment where not everybody got to go. And then at a certain point, and maybe it was gradually, I got all my validation from the unit's success from other guys who I mentored doing well, and that was a pretty neat change.
And that's what it should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we train them to go and do stuff, and we've got to give them credit. We have that talent management, in talent management strategy, and it talks about, acquiring talent, development talent, employing talent, and retaining talent. But the one thing we also have to remember is to celebrate that talent, right? I'm not saying everyone gets an award. That's not what I'm saying. But it's okay to pat them on the back once in a while, saying, hey, great job. You're the one that accomplished this, not me, right?
And, we're a warfighting organization. We have a vice president. So like everybody's supposed to be replaceable. And I always find you can find a unit that's not doing well when they have key leaders that are indispensable, or if that person's gone, stuff doesn't happen. And that's always been my metric. I had a leader told me, he's like, you're nailing it as a leader. If you're not there and everything runs smoothly, then you have built a resilient organization.
Oh man.
And you'll hear people like, oh, I left and it fell apart. Well, I mean, to me, all I'm hearing is that you're bad at your job if that happens.
No, you're exactly right. Because a lot, especially with us being DMETA sessions, right? We've got to be able to complete our mission with what we have, and we're short. And I tell everyone that right now. I say, say if something could happen to me and you tomorrow, right? Who is that person that's going to replace you? You should be training that person to replace you. Or same thing with these sergeant majors and nominative, and they'll go off, and then there will be a gap. I'm okay with the gap. Why? Because there's someone we're already training to sit in that seat to fill that gap. And that's what we should be doing.
Yeah, it's better than any school. If you can fill a gap like that, you'll learn more doing a job like that than anybody could ever teach you.
Oh my goodness, yes. Because I mean, probably you, just like I was an E7 as a first sergeant. I was a first sergeant as a sergeant major, right? Sitting in the seat. And did I make mistakes? Heck yeah, I did. But I had great leaders. SMA Daly was my battalion, brigade, and division sergeant major, right? And he helped me. When I'd make a mistake, he'd give me a call on the phone. Hey, probably shouldn't have been doing this. Do this instead. Okay, sergeant major, right? Type of deal. But they mentored me, and I learned from that experience because they knew I didn't know what I don't know. You know, you'll sit back here as an E7, like watching that first sergeant, it's like, I got this. Until you're sitting in that seat, and that responsibility and authority on your shoulders, big difference, right?
Yeah, it's a different rock when you're wearing it.
A big different rock. No, exactly. So, you know, I've learned so much by, you know, stepping in them other positions and, you know, and them letting me do what I need to do and then correcting me where I need to be corrected to help me out, right? That's helping others and
That's
taking
awesome.
care of each other, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And you probably have done that a lot in your formation too.
Well, I hope so.
I do too, most definitely. And then, you know, as we talked about, you know, the empathy piece of it, I think that's huge to understand where our soldiers are coming from. And, you know, as I said about leadership as a relationship, it's about not just professional relationship, but personal relationship. Now, I'm not saying you're going out to the club with the soldier. That's not what I'm saying.
Not at all. Yeah.
But I know what, you know, he's married, he or she's married, he or she has kids, where they're from, what they want to do, what's their goals. I mean, you help them meet their goals.
Yeah, you got them for life.
Oh,
yeah.
man, right? Because then we build the relationship personally and professionally, and that's where we build the trust, right? And then if something's wrong with them, we're able to get in their shoes because we know who they are, right? And help them through that before they even come ask me for help or ask you for help.
That's when you know you're dialed in, is when I can approach a soldier and like, hey, why don't you tell me what's going on? Because I know there's something. And then they don't feel attacked, and they'll tell you like, hey, well, you know, my girlfriend's gone. Like, well, you know, it wasn't not going to be the last one, but yeah, come here and let me tell you about it.
No, and to be able to do that at times, you know, we were talking about before that, you know, we have some leaders nowadays that won't make corrections, right? Because they're afraid of that conflict. But it's also, there's some confidence in there, right?
Absolutely. And then, you know, I wouldn't want to be in charge of soldiers that weren't a little bit hard to control. Like, how are those people going to act on the battlefield? Probably not great. So I think it's always kind of fun to get a little pushback as a leader, because that keeps you honest, and it, like you said, it does kind of establish that confidence. If you can't explain to somebody why, you know, they need to make as innocuous as, you know, tuck those drawstrings in, we'll have that conversation in your head and then, you know, do an immediate reattack on that soldier and fix them.
Agree. And I didn't understand that as an E5, E6.
No.
I was like, hey, because I said so, right? Type of deal. But we're learning about leadership, right?
I try to do a self-imposed, only 30% of the things I say are because I'm telling you to, and then the other 70 is I want you to understand why I'm telling you this, and get you on board with it so that I don't have to make you do it anymore. You start making people do it. And I have never found somebody that volunteered to serve in the military that in their heart wasn't somewhat driven to do the right thing, as long as they understood what it was and what it meant.
Yeah, and I didn't, again, I go back to, you know, E5, E6 is basically because I told you so. Towards an E7, about 10 years in the military, 5 years as a leader, to where I understood about the care word and to understand how to explain that why, right? Yep. Instead of always yelling,
talk. I know I did, explaining why as a E4 and E5, I felt like it was weakness. Mm-hmm. And you know, like, no, you have to do what I say because I'm in charge. And then it's a part of the education. Why are we shaving in the field? And I was like, yeah, why the hell are we shaving in the field? But when you can explain why, and it's a relevant fact, like, you know, nobody really fights you on it. And it took me a while to figure out that things like that weren't me being weak. It was just me being a good leader, and that's where they start trusting you because they know I'm not lying. I'm like, these are what we're doing, and he's got a reason. He always has a reason. So right now I'm just going to get after it because I don't want to hear it. No,
and an interesting piece, and this always gets me, is, you know, we go to board for E5, we go to the board for E6, and what do you study? Doctrine. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, when you become the sergeant or you become the staff sergeant, you forgot all that stuff you studied for in the doctrine. And we don't read doctrine, and there's some of the why, because it's in doctrine.
And yeah, it's not fun to read, but you know, I had an interesting conversation with a Marine officer. He said, you never get punished with any kind of physical task becoming an officer because they don't want to make physical fitness a negative thing. And I think that a lot of times we take doctrine and we make it into this negative dogma, because you never get assigned reading and writing a report on doctrine because you did something good. So I think we kind of made it into something negative, and when you go to a board, you just get hammered with it, and and a board's adversarial. So it is one of those, it's a high jump once you get over it, and like, great, now that part of my life is over. And I think it's to the detriment of the organization, because as a avid reader and somebody that stood a lot of staff duty, I'm always amazed at the things I figure out, the who, what, where, and why are in all these manuals and all this doctrine that we have, and a lot of people just avoid it.
Yeah, that's some very good advice for the audience. I think that's awesome to think about that. And the one thing, I heard you saying there is about being self-aware, right? Because that's also, as in E7, where I started to become self-aware of what I was doing. And we have to adapt, right? We all have to adapt. Like when I come in the military, well, when both of us come in the military, I have Vietnam vets in our formation. And and I would tell them, the chow hall sucks. And I can't say what they would say back to me, but basically, get your butt in there and eat chow, right?
You don't know what bad food is. Yeah.
Exactly. So I had to, be self-aware as through times to adapt to all the new generations. Everyone says, all the new generation's hard to lead. No, we just have to adapt. And now I'm not saying you totally change yourself and don't be yourself. What I'm saying is you have to adapt and figure out what they need from you, right? Yeah,
that's well put, because everyone is always like the new generation. They're not the soldiers we were. And I'm like, well, yeah, cool. That's probably good. I know my infantry battalion. It was very rare that we got off on a Friday without hiking. 18, 20, 24 miles, and then we never did that in combat. So like, do we need to go back to that? I never walked 24 miles on any of my deployments for any purpose. And the younger soldiers, we're getting them over in first group too. The things that they're not good at they have high points that are just astounding. And so I like to give them the best parts of what I have, and then just watch these guys come up, because their ability to run technology, I just can't. I'm too far behind to ever catch up with them. So, I'm gonna like, hey, here's this piece of my career. Why don't you get a little stronger and keep doing what you're doing with your ones and zeros? That's awesome.
Wow, and that's exactly what we should be doing. Give them a little guidance, give them a little knowledge, and let them go run, right? And let them fail, knowing that they trust you. You're gonna pick them up. Yep. Point them in the right direction.
I think the hardest thing is to find a leader that's willing to let a subordinate go out and fail, because they're so afraid of what that failure is going to look like. And I think that's why a lot of guys are just such micromanagers. It's not because they need that control. They just have a fear of what it's going to look like when somebody in his organization falls. And I think that's just a great thing for a young soldier, is to get put in charge of something and have it all fall apart, and then now you never have to tell him why we do it the other way. He knows. And I've never seen another leader come down and really find out what happened. You're like, hey, I assumed some risk, and my young E5 was taking it, and he wasn't able to run it, but it's never going to happen again, and it didn't really break anything. I've never seen anybody come in and like, well, that was dumb. You're on my shit list forever. I think if you had a calculated risk that you were assuming by letting a young guy kind of take lead on something, I've never seen in the organization where people didn't think that was cool.
Agree. And I've been doing that for years, right? Give them a little guidance, give them a little knowledge, let them go. Knowing somewhere or another they're going to fail. And it might be in front of the brigade, division sergeant major, right? But guess what? I'm going to pull them off to the side. And when you pull them off to the side and have a discussion with them, not coming down on the rear end, and hey, tell me why you did what you did, or why you took that direction that you took, right? And then you have a discussion with them, and guess what? They come up with their own solution. That really builds trust, and that's powerful, because now they're like, wow, they can stick out the chest a little bit, get a little confidence, right?
And I think what's cool, that's the kid on the battlefield, that when he sees a weakness in the enemy, like that's the guy that's like, I don't know what we're supposed to be doing, but I'm going to go grab that, and I'm going to bring that win back for the boss.
Oh, man.
That's the confidence you get in an organization that lets people, during training and peacetime, go out there and fail spectacularly. But he has the confidence on the battlefield to know that, hey, like they've got my back. I know what we're here to do, and I'm going to get this win right now.
Yeah, and because we talk about all the time, take action. But are we establishing that culture?
We say take action, but then when somebody takes action and they don't do exactly how you would have done it if you were in charge of their body, you come down and hammer them. That person turns it into an automaton droid that will not move forward until you're pushing them.
Oh, man, done. You do something like that, done. You lost trust. You lost their confidence.
Yep.
Right? And then they're going to be that bobblehead in the corner. Because they're not going to do anything. Because
I'm never getting humiliated like that again. And I'm just going to. You can see it all over institutionally. It's safer to do nothing because you'll never really get in trouble for that, and it just makes a stagnant, bad organization.
Oh, in a heartbeat, You know, and because we want them to take action, we want them to take risks. Because you're saying. They see, you know, the enemy lines, and there's a gap there. We want them to take action and take that risk.
Go get in the middle of that. Take that 100-meter gap and make it 800 meters for me.
Yeah, but it all starts, and that's what, you know, getting them to understand. It all starts back in when you're doing training, or even doing something in the barracks, right?
Yeah,
whatever it is, you're establishing that take action, that trust, that take risk here to get prepared for that conflict.
Yep.
In a heartbeat. So I think that's awesome, and you know, something to think about, you know, and going back to, you know, self-awareness and confidence, is getting them younger junior NCOs to become self-aware and confident earlier than me and you did.
Yeah, and I came in, you know, pre 9/11. We weren't. I mean, we had some good fundamentals, but we were not a get ready to go to war organization. And, you know, we cleaned our rooms a lot. Our floor was waxed perfectly, and that was the things we focused on. And I remember my NCOs coming up, that was, you know, they showed me all these things to be a great Marine. And we all had 2 sets of underwear, you know, the ones you displayed and the ones you wore. And it was an organization that kind of was on the verge of losing its identity as a warfighting organization. And the NCO Corps was so focused on just the uniforms and the appearance. And then I came back into that, you know, formation after 10 years of them going to war in totally different outfit. And the things they were focused on, the team leaders were just light years ahead of where we were when I was there. And I just thought it was the neatest thing to see. And that's one thing I hope after this 20-year war we just fought, is that we don't lose that. That NCO Corps that understands that, you know, tidy rooms and cut grass is great, as long as the bones of an actual fight tonight warfighting organization are there also.
Nope.
Because if you don't have that, you don't need to be painting your barracks.
Agree 100% with you. Because as you said about, I remember waxing the floors, you know, and I used to rule the underwear too, right? Just like in basic training.
Yep, I had vacuum packed bags of underwear and socks, and I would, you know, they come out and sit on my bunk, and then I'd put them back up, and it was a weird time. I'm glad that part of the Marine Corps is gone.
But no, and I agree. We've got to be prepared, and tell you the truth, I mean, if any corps that we do, you know, 31 different exercises in 13 different countries every single year, and you're in some of them countries with us.
Yeah, I don't think I've deployed for the past 2 or 3 years without seeing an I Corps formation somewhere or First Corps formation somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So if anybody is somewhat ready, I mean, we always have work to do, right? But it's this Corps. We are ready. You know, I don't say ready tonight, I say ready now.
Ready now, yeah.
Because you never know when that flag's going to go up, and we have to be ready to go, right? So that's why I tell all the formations, I tell all the newcomers, hey, you've got to be ready now, not ready tonight, and be prepared to go.
Yeah, healthy advice.
Oh, man, yeah. So, hey, I appreciate our discussion today on Connect First. You have any closing comments for the audience?
No, I'm just proud to be here. I love the the Fort Lewis community. I don't think I've met a bad soldier out here yet, so I hope that trend continues.
I hope it continues also, most definitely. So again, thank you very much, Master Sergeant Plumlee, for coming on Connect First. You're a great guest speaker. We appreciate it. Thank you very much for everything. And to the audience, thank you very much for tuning in to another episode of Connect First, and we'll see you next time on Connect First. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to Connect First podcast, where we discuss leadership at its core. You can find Connect First on all your major podcast streaming platforms. Follow First Corps on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for information on upcoming episodes, as well as all things First Corps. Rate, review, and subscribe to us on YouTube and click that notification bell so you'll know exactly when we drop a new episode. Till next time.